Last week, I binged the entirety of Demon Slayer. 4 days of complete and utter episodes from 20 minutes to 40 minutes total. And I only did it because my good friend, one of my closest friends, wanted to watch the Demon Slayer movie. And I couldn't, prevent him from watching the movie. So I decided to say, you know what? Let me catch up. Let me decide to do it. But then I remembered why I didn't watch the series in the very beginning. Something stopped me. This man right here. This yellow-haired bitch. Every time when I see him cry, I wanted to throw him into a wall. But you know what? I persevered, I pushed, I did my college homework while watching these episodes, watching Tanjiro and Inosuke and Zenitsu throw hands with all of the upper ranked demons, meeting all of the Hashira, and reaching to the very end where Muzan and that guy, the master, face to face at the last episode and then falling into the Infinity Castle. And yesterday, I watched the Demon Slayer movie, the part 1 to Infinity Castle, and honestly, I'll give the movie credit. It was very good. A lot of the action was fire, and a lot of the scenes that I kind of spoiled myself about what happens later on already happened, and it was actually a really great depiction of the animation. It was really good. I was very happy with what I was watching. I thought it was some good money well spent. But then I remembered. That's right. Our boy Zenitsu is supposed to be the spiritual successor to the retired Lightning Hashira. And don't get me wrong, the backstory of Zenitsu and the Master and how they grew together is very heartwarming. And I loved the fact that I could see Zenitsu become this absolute lightning-wielding badass in a span of a short period of time. So then it brought me to the question, was I wrong to hate Zenitsu? Was I wrong to write him off? Was I wrong in the very beginning when I first watched the series to mount and mark Zenitsu as my least favorite character? Of course I was, and I still stand on that point. What, you thought I was going to give this man props? No, I never will. Now this might be an over-exaggeration, but don't get me wrong, I will not give Zenitsu credit because he decided to lock in because his master decided to commit seppuku. Now, is that a little bit harsh? Yes, it's very much harsh, and I don't mean to be that guy who wants to say like, oh, I'm a Zenitsu hater. Unfortunately, at this point, I don't even care. Mark me as a Zenitsu hater. I am a Zenitsu hater. Look, funny enough, because of Zenitsu, when I first watched Demon Slayer, I was very much willing to actually do a YouTube video about writing how you like what it's like to write a really good coward. And I was going to use Zenitsu as an example of a bad written character as a coward, and I was going to use Eddie Munson from Stranger Things as a good depiction of writing a great coward. But I chose not to do it because I wasn't sure how well it was going to do. So a part of me wanted to wait until, when the new season of Stranger Things drops before to drop that video. But you know what? Since the Demon Slayer movie is here, I might as well do a video talking about Zenitsu. It won't be very long, trust me, because I'm just doing this off the dome, and I fresh off watching the movie like one day, not that completely fresh. The day has been gone for a while. But I cannot simply forgive. They give us a very cowardice character, a character that is fearing for his life on a regular basis. It was fine in the very beginning when, he chose to become a Lightning Hashira and he's very scared and his main goal is to just live a very fearless life. Like, he doesn't want to fight demons unnecessarily, but he chose to do it because he was the only person, the Lightning Hashira was the only person who was willing to actually put some effort into him. I was very much willing to give him credit. I wanted to invest in this character, but arc after arc after arc, it ended the same. He gets knocked out, He locks in for a fraction of a second because he's asleep. He wakes up, doesn't realize he cooked in that period of time because he doesn't know when he goes unconscious, he starts to, slay every demon in the vicinity. He wakes up and then begins to cry all over again. Cry of fear, cry of annoyance, scream and yell. And at some points, I'll give him credit, it's a little bit funny. Like, yeah, when he was finding out that Nezuko was traveling with Tanjiro and he was like infatuated with Nezuko, I give him some credit there. It was a little bit funny, but it was still dragged on a little bit in my personal opinion. But when he decides to actually train, we are talking about this man did the same training that Tanjiro and Inosuke and a lot of these other Hashira Demon Slayer core members have been doing, and you mean to tell me he didn't gain a shred of confidence? He even goes on missions throughout arcs while Tanjiro is knocked out, and he's still doing the same thing, making it a living hell for every other Demon Slayer member who's lower than him, making it difficult for them to actually do their missions at all. Why would I give this man credit? I can't do it. Yes, his fight with the upper six in the movie was fire, and the fact that he threw out the seventh form of the lightning breathing, sick. Fire. I remember the fan animation that happened when they actually dropped in the manga. I remember it wholeheartedly, and I was very happy to see it. I was happy, but this is coming from a dude who's very satisfied with really good done action, and Demon Slayer has really great action, but the story sometimes just makes me want to throw rocks at the ceiling. It makes me want to get mad, and unfortunately, I understand this has a very massive fan base, and this video might get a decent amount of hate, but I have to make my stand on my point. Let me explain why in unadulterated detail. 1. Zenitsu has the ability to use the lightning form. I actually like the fact that he is able to use the first form so well because it is the living embodiment of what martial artists like to do when they say don't learn a bunch of different techniques all at once and become like the master of everything when you are facing with someone who's done the singular punch 100 times in a row for the last 50 years, because that person does such a perfect punch to the point that you may not be able to defend against it. Meaning he was able to do the first form in different variants from I think how was it variant 6 to 7 to 8 and then Godspeed. It's really good. I like that idea. But then when they threw out the fact of oh yeah, he learned the 7th form and he figured it out all by himself, and we get no implication or showing of the training. Now correct me if I'm wrong, I did not read the manga. I only got bits and pieces of it because I didn't really care enough to read the manga. I don't know if the manga explains how he figured out the 7th form. I don't know in the anime if the movies are going to talk about how we got to the 7th form. If they're not going to show me, then why should I care? It's an epic moment, but it came out of nowhere. It's the same thing when Tanjiro randomly pulled out of his butt when he's chasing the random upper 5 or 6, I forgot which one it was, the one that's a very tiny demon, actually decides to randomly pull out of his butt, oh yeah, right, lightning breathing. He's going too fast. Let me pull out Zenitsu's move, and use it 2 or 3 separate times in that same arc just to beat the demon. Where did it come from? What do you mean he just knew how to do that? And you mean to tell me Zenitsu just figured out the 7th form? No implication of him trying to figure it out? I would have loved to see some implication of that in the training, but we all see him as just crying and screaming the entirety of the series. And lastly, another thing, his character, given that how much he loves women and wants to get married and is caring for all these little female characters, you mean to tell me that at any point he didn't feel like he needed to get stronger to protect those female characters? He just remains this same dude who's just infatuated about these little people, loves the idea of them possibly liking him back, but doesn't care enough to actually, lock in when they're in true danger. Even in a fraction of a second, the only time he actually showed that he might actually be willing to do that, when Tengen was about to steal some of the Hashira girls from the butterfly mansion. But seriously, you mean to tell me he just doesn't lock in it at any other point in time? Only when he gets the letter. I cannot accept that. I can't do it. And unfortunately, I believe I am not wrong about Zenitsu. And there's a lot of characters that kind of annoy me in Demon Slayer, but I feel like I need to do a specific video with Zenitsu because he has a lot of fans. He's a lot of fans. And I don't understand why he has a lot of fans. I don't get it. I can understand why Demon Slayer has a lot of fans because the animation is great, the fighting is great, the characters are unique to a degree. I like the styles of the characters and the world is actually pretty interesting. But the only difference is like I think the story is a little bit lackluster. But granted, it's a basic battle shonen, so it's nothing too crazy. I'm not expecting a super integral plot. I'm not expecting something complicated. I'm not expecting something so otherworldly or unique. It was like, oh yeah, cool samurais fighting each other, whatever. Other than that, it's not too bad. And honestly, I need Zenitsu to I can't have Zenitsu have too much fun. I can't have Zenitsu have too much love in this world, bro. I can't. It just makes me annoyed. And I just feel like I need to do a video after the movie. Besides that, movie's pretty good. Give it like a solid 6 out of 10, maybe 5 out of 10. Keep in mind, like I have a very high standards with a lot of these movies. I'm kind of a snob. I've watched a lot of movies and I have a lot of movies that I consider like 10s and 9s, and that takes a lot of effort. So honestly, like just animation alone and the fight scenes alone is not enough to make me say, oh, Demon Slayer is one of the peaks, but a good 6, above average is better, because you're not going to see a lot of these animation movies as well. But I might do a video talking about how animation might become something to fear in like the Hollywood sphere, because when I learned what the budget was for Demon Slayer was and how much money they got from the first week or the first day then the movie dropped, truthfully, honestly, Hollywood needs to lock in if they don't want these animation movies to take over. And I'm not just talking about anime movies, I'm talking about in general. When people are doing indie films and films on their own, like spending years making one singular film and then trying to get their way to put it into theaters, and they get it into theaters and then releasing it. And that's including places like movies like Flow, K-pop Demon Hunters, all those good things. But until then, yeah, it's your boy Kadukun. I'll see you guys next time, and peace.
FMA, handle business, don't play. On point when it comes to the anime. Jack and Daxter, ayy, let's go. The ultimate heroes, don't stop, we on the road. Kadukun. Yeah, welcome to the channel.